I want to talk about how we can go beyond tokens and points, right? For those that don't know me, my name is Lefteris. I've been in Ethereum for a bit. Mainly worked in Solidity and C++ Ethereum back in the early days. And I created and also had to clean up the DAO, this ETC hard fork, along with Christoph Jens and the others. So sorry for this, if any of you were affected. I worked on Raiden, which is what the Lightning Network is to Bitcoin, is what Raiden was supposed to be for Ethereum. Didn't really catch on, payment channels didn't really catch on. And I'm the founder of Rotki, a portfolio management and accounting tool that's local first and privacy preserving. I may mention it a bit, but the talk is not about Rotki, it's about why we're here. So I guess many of you do work in this field, right? And you probably have had the question by, I don't know, a date, your grandma, your grandpa, what do you work in? You start to say, yeah, I work in crypto. Wait, the moment you say this, do you know what the other person will think of? What do you do for a living? And if you say the word crypto, do you know what comes in their mind? Yeah? Next slide. This guy. So they think that you're probably a scammer, or you like gambling, you have issues, you have a problem. Or they may just go away from you. You're a criminal. You should, I should stay away from this person. What's worse is that you may be known only for hacks, like you cause people to lose their life savings. We lose about 30 million in one hack, 60 million in another hack. Every other day there is someone losing their fortune. Like there is BBC articles, The Guardian articles saying, oh, this poor guy from France lost their entire life savings in this protocol, or in the DAO hack, or in whatever. Then with all these hacks being funneled to terrorist regimes, it really gives us a very bad name that we actually are funding terrorism. Oh, there, okay. There? Oh. Okay. And there, that crypto is basically FTX. Like I had actually, my lawyer once asked me, so you're looking for a job, right? FTX went out of business, I heard. She really thought that FTX, so basically the most used centralized exchange at the time, is actually crypto. There is the vast majority of normies, as you may call them, think that crypto is a centralized exchange, even now. Then they see all the points, they see the meme coins, they see Frentech, and they say, okay, this is crypto, so just gambling in dog coins. Or when we saw people like BitBoy and every other influencer, or a key opinion leader, we made them represent our industry. But is that really why we are here? I don't know about you, but I've started working in this field just because I wanted to do something different and change things, right? So what would you say that crypto, when you are on this date and you want to explain crypto to your date, like what you do for a living, probably she doesn't want to hear your life story. So this is something that we really have to work on how to improve our image. But if we had time, and we do now have time a bit to drill into what crypto is good for, I would say these 4 things is a good summary. So it's a permissionless and unstoppable ledger. It allows for 0 fees and cross-border payments, transparency, and it helps with coordination. If you have even a bit more time, you can drill into what permissionless and unstoppable actually means. It means that you just don't need to care about what someone says about what you want to do, because you don't need permission to use your money, you don't need permission from the government to open a bank account. And this is not a problem only of as some people in Europe would say, oh no, don't worry, we are fine here. You probably all saw quite recently with the protest in Canada, where Trudeau just basically froze the bank accounts of protesters that just didn't agree with what his government was doing. Permissionless and unstoppable also means that you don't need permission to use your own money, right? Has anybody been denied banking here? Because of being, yeah, I see some hands. I have been denied banking. I have been, I have had bank accounts closed because of course I don't say it, being associated with crypto. So you should never need permission to use your own money. For this, also, when you use a bank, sometimes they may ask you, so Mr. Karapetsas, I see that you're sending more than 5,000 euros. Oh, don't worry, Mr. Banker. Actually, it's not a scammer, it's me. I am actually initiating this transaction. Okay, good. But this is not the question. The question is, who are you sending it to? What is the transaction? And then you start to question, to discuss with the bankers. Why do you need to know what I'm trying to use my money for? So the whole point of crypto is to give you agency. You shouldn't have to answer to the bank about what you're doing. And let's not even go to the CBDC dystopia where you have specific terms on when you would end up being able to use your own funds. Hello? Okay. So a kind of boring attribute of crypto is cross-border payments. People may think that this is solved, but this is actually one of the strongest points of crypto. You just can pay anybody, anywhere. It sounds boring, but it's actually extremely, extremely powerful. If you have ever had to employ freelance contractors anywhere outside of Europe, because in Europe we have SEPA transfers, which are fine, but if you ever need to employ anybody else, you would either not be able to do it at all through your bank, or you would need to use something like either Wise Transfer or PayPal. And they have extreme fees, like from 2 to 5% on the entire amount. Sometimes you have to go through extra KYC, maybe your transfer got stuck and you have to contact support, and then to pay a freelancer, someone in Nepal, you may end up wasting a month and an extra 5% on the amount. So this is actually something that we in crypto have managed to unlock and make into reality. So almost zero fee cross-border payments. Crypto also has transparency. What does transparency mean? It means that crypto being a basically transparent database that everybody uses and everybody can read from, it could be used, it is not, it could really be used in government. So governments could use a transparent ledger in order to show how they're spending funds. Then bureaucracy could be killed because, I don't know, everybody's situation is different, but I am a citizen of one country, living in a third. I have a kid whose mother is from a fourth country, so I'm dealing with 3 different countries and their bureaucracies. Every time that I need a certificate of birth for my kid or anything, I need to contact different offices in Germany and then go to embassies. It's mess. While if you had the ability to just do all this on-chain, and not need to contact every different office, and if they're closed, or have them communicate between each country. So a transparent ledger really could solve bureaucracy a lot. Another thing is coordination, right? We've all seen the rise of various DAOs, how we can all collaborate and talk about, like solve problems. Also, we create incentive mechanisms. There have been a lot of experimentation about different incentives in crypto, and we are all trying to slay Moloch, the god of coordination failure. Incidentally, about DAOs, I'm going to talk a lot about them tomorrow at 1:30, I think, in DevCon, and I will criticize a bit, quite a lot, about how DAOs are today and how they have failed to actually realize this vision, and what can we do to fix it. All right, so are we doing any of these things? Maybe we're doing DAOs a bit, but still we're really shitty at that. But all of the other stuff we are not really doing. Like when you think of crypto, you just don't think of any of this. So why? Why hasn't this promise materialized? First of all, it's something that we are all to blame. Whenever I talk to anybody in my crypto circles, they are always oh, come on, Lefteris, stop being like a killjoy. Look, these points, they're helping us. They're bringing in the masses. Which, when you translate it to reality, it means, shut up, Lefteris. They need to come so that we can dump our bags on them. And then we can exit. Who cares about that? Afterwards, who cares? So we normalize scammy behavior to lure, sorry, my Greek accent, lure retail. And we have many people who talk a lot, blah, 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 decentralization, blah, 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 open source, yay, go, go. But in reality, what they do is the complete opposite of what they are talking about. So there are a lot of demagogues in this field. And of course, the governments are very much against us. Like the regulations worldwide are against crypto because crypto is set to disrupt them. So that is indeed a very difficult problem that we are facing. And why hasn't the crypto promise materialized? Also, we are developers and sometimes we don't think about stuff. We are creating a protocol that's nice, but then decisions slowly get co-opted and actually centralize some protocols. Then I talked about transparency, right? Everything is open, everything is public, but we have a complete lack of privacy as an end user. So transparency is great if you're a government, but if you're like the average Joe, you don't really want everybody to see what you're doing on chain, because this is a totalitarian regime's wet dream. So when I talked about flow design and centralization, what I mean is, as devs, I don't think that we think ahead enough. Like the original creators of Ethereum made some very serious mistakes that have not been fixed, and they're actually being built upon, and we build upon foundation that is not really solid. Like you can't ask for your the transactions of your address. Give me, so you're running your own node, you can't do that. Give me the blocks that my validator has produced. No, I can't do that. There are certain VC-funded companies that are trying to push even more stuff out of the node to other centralized solutions. So the problem starts to become that slowly, bit by bit, the protocol is getting co-opted by certain interests, let's say, and then what will end up, if we continue like this, we're just going to end up with a slower version of TradFi. So we as developers are also responsible to make sure that the protocols that we are making can stand the test of time. What can we do for this? We need to go back to the Cypherpunk roots, right? We must not think only, how can I fix my bug? How can I make this work again? We need to think long term, not about the next year, but in the next 10 years, maybe about our children also, not about protocols that will just work for the next 5 years. Don't take shortcuts. This is like something very, very easy to do as a developer. You just want to close the computer, go to sleep, go back to your home, but we really need to think things through. I am afraid that sometimes things are not thought through, especially in Ethereum. And speak up. Many of us have advisorships here, a big bag of a particular token, angel investment here. So you're afraid, okay, I shouldn't really talk bad about this protocol, or I shouldn't talk bad about this protocol because it's connected to this VC that actually is funding my own protocol. So fuck all that, really. If you don't criticize, like this is something that people tell me a lot, that you're never going to get funding for your project because you're too vocal. Again, fuck that. We really have to criticize things when things don't go well, because then we're going to end up being captured by VC interests. Again, walk the walk, don't just talk about stuff. So we have a completely neutral funding mechanism for Ethereum protocol development called the Protocol Guild. You can always donate to them. This is me donating to them some time ago. This is one way to keep the protocol neutral. You just donate directly to a mechanism that is completely neutral and funds core protocol developers and researchers. Now we're going to talk about privacy. So I take this quote by the Anoma co-founder that privacy is a mistake. I really love that. She wrote a blog post that's called Privacy is a Mistake, and this is like the gist of it. Everybody wants privacy, right? But the word privacy is bad, because the word privacy creates the idea that you're hiding something, that you're a criminal, that you're doing something that shouldn't be visible to the outer world. That's not correct, though. When you think about privacy, what do you really want, right? You want to just not share information. Like, you don't want to share what are your addresses. You don't want to share what tokens and how much you have of each token. And we are building apps and, unfortunately, protocols that just don't care about this. In reality, what we need to do is empower. So privacy is not about hiding, but about empowering the user to decide what does he or she want to share. Unfortunately, almost all of public blockchains today are completely public. Everything is visible on chain. Everything you own is visible on chain. Once I find out which address corresponds to you, everything around that address, everything that's connected, can be connected to you. If you try to disconnect those connections by using something like Tornado Cash, then you are now considered a criminal because of the sanctions against Tornado. What can we do for this? We need to normalize end-user privacy. We need to use tools that help us achieve privacy. When you design a software, you need to think with privacy in mind. You shouldn't just say, okay, and maybe in the future we will just do some changes, because once you start, it's going to be very difficult to actually introduce it later. Use and support approaches that use privacy first, and support those who fight the legal battles. As we all know, come on, you can do it? Good. Like, walk the walk and don't just talk the talk again. The Tornado guys, so Alexei and Roman are fighting two different legal battles in Netherlands and the US, and I don't know if they still have this, but they did have this donation for their legal fund. So if anybody wants to help them, this is the link to their legal defense. I think that a change is needed, a change in thinking and a change in how we basically act and how we develop. Again, I mean, this is also the Cypherpunk Congress. We really need to think, what does that even mean? The Cypherpunks wanted to achieve privacy through cryptography, right? This was one of their main tenets. The Cypherpunks were skeptics of government and of surveillance. They didn't welcome government. They didn't accept surveillance, because surveillance is a way to not only monitor but suppress you. Champion open source and decentralization, and also being champions of autonomy and self-sovereignty. So your data is yours, and you don't need to depend on external services. The crypto user, the average crypto user, what many of us call degens today, is sort of the total opposite. Basically, privacy through cryptography, no, YOLO. What? This protocol, I don't care, just YOLO into everything. Skepticism of government, no. Government is our friend. Why? Because when they are with us, we get mass adoption. When, for example, we get someone elected that is pro-crypto, then suddenly we all love the government. It's great now. Now our numbers go up. So now we are very friendly to the government. That's insane, and I don't know. Like, the past few weeks, I've been pretty disappointed with some of the crypto people and how they suddenly embrace government. The degen also doesn't care. Is it open source? Is it closed source? No worries. Does it have a big enough APY? Is the percentage good enough for me to YOLO? That's what I care about. Autonomy and self-sovereignty, okay. Who cares about that? Like, is the contract owned by an end user address? No worries. How much ETH can I get out of this in the short term? So we need to eradicate this mindset. This is a virus. This is sick. But we also need to educate, because sometimes people actually do come to me and ask, so, okay, you talk about privacy, but what does that even mean? How can we get privacy? I want to be private. What does that mean? I mean, it's a spectrum. Like, there is many things that someone can do. We can talk to people about end-to-end encryption, and what does that mean? How should you be chatting with someone when you actually want to be protected? Don't use Telegram. Like, everybody in crypto uses Telegram. It's not end-to-end encrypted. It's insane. Like, a field that basically came through the cypherpunks is actually using a non-encrypted means of communication as its main messaging tool. Explain about on-chain privacy. I could make a talk about this alone, because how easy it is even for OGs or people who are very, very into crypto to make a mistake and connect addresses by mistake, let's say, using the same deposit address for an exchange. Explaining what is wrong with sharing your IP with people and how you can use VPNs to go around this. How maybe you shouldn't share your email with every service, and there are some email services that you can create a different email for every unique provider. Sorry, a unique email for every provider. Why you should be using disk drive encryption. So if your laptop gets stolen, they can't just open it and read your data. And how you should be limiting social media sharing. This is something that I don't do. I'm really bad at this. I'm a Twitter whore. And like everything that you share and everything that I share is creating a digital footprint about me, where I live, what I do, what are my interests. And then someone can use it against me or against you at any point in your life. Okay, and that governments are not our friends. They're not bad, always, sometimes. But we operate despite them. We don't need their permission, we don't need their acceptance. And they're not always on your side. You have to remember, many of us are from Western so-called countries, and we feel safe because we have had relative stability in the past 50 years. But even a Western government is 4 years, in the best, worst, depending on which side of the regime you are, away from changing to a totalitarian regime. The sovereignty of the data should be with the people, not with the government. So you shouldn't have to ask the government for permission to do things or to have an identity and so on and so forth. And again, that the Western world is not immune to totalitarian regimes. We should strive to use open source. I'm a very, very big open source proponent because open source gives us transparency. Open source, by transparency I mean like you can see what the code does, or you can ask someone that can read that particular language to confirm that, oh, this app doesn't share my IP with anybody, doesn't send my data to an external server. Open source also encourages community involvement and attracts talent. That means that because not only can you read the code, but you can also share it, fork it, build on it. This is the very definition of open source. Open source doesn't just mean source available. Then people are encouraged to work on this code because they don't need your permission to actually build on it. They don't need a friendly license or a friendly fork or whatever the fuck they call those today. You just take the code, you read it, and you build on it, and then you contribute back to the main repository. We don't build walled gardens in open source, so we have lack of lock-in and data capture. And also, generally, open source is very positive. It encourages innovation and takes the world forward. And we should strive for self-sovereignty. So I like to work on what I call self-sovereign apps. But as an individual, the idea is that you should hold and control your data. And that there is also the concept of self-sovereign identity, so that identity doesn't occur through a central government. So if you're, a refugee from a government that you're fleeing from and you don't even have the passport, then you go to a third country, who are you? Do you even have an identity? So you should have the ability to identify yourself. Empower individuals to share what they want and with whom they want. And also, by not depending on a central provider, you end up being independent and secure. So this is like self-sovereignty. But what is self-sovereign applications? Because I think I'm running out of time, I'm just going to go fast here. The idea is that we have the Web 2 apps, right? And then we got Web 3 dApps that are basically centralized servers that also talk with a chain. But a self-sovereign app basically gives you the sole ownership and ability. It's basically giving you agency over your data, how you handle it and how they are shared with everybody. And they are open source because they give you the ability to audit the code. So this is what a self-sovereign app is. A self-sovereign app is also local app. Like, these are the good old local apps I'm a very big proponent of. Things that were normal a few years ago, like, okay, I'm a bit older, so a few decades ago, then are being reintroduced by this seminal paper called Local First Software. So the idea is that you use software, this is Martin Kleppmann, the guy who made the paper, that just bring back what we used to call applications back in my day. So the majority of the functionality is local. The data is stored locally, but privacy and security is paramount. There is a network connection, of course, you use the network. It's not, the local first is not an offline app, but not every single key press is a round trip to a server. We create apps that basically empower the user and are putting the local side first. Come on. I'm just going to give a super quick TLDR about what I do, which is basically an embodiment of everything of this. Basically, it's a local first app that solves a problem, the problem of tracking what you have in crypto and where, how, and allows you to manage it. So the super quick TLDR of Rotki is that it's all open source, verifiable. It looks like this. It gives you like a breakdown of what you have and where, in which chains. You can manually put stuff about how much you have in a bank. It gives you a bird's eye view of your entire portfolio and where it is. It also tracks many chains, so like also Bitcoin chains, substrate chains. We are going to add Solana that many of our users want. It tracks traditional finance also, but with some caveats. It's all about customizability. So you decide how to share your data, where to send it, what nodes to use. If you want to use an indexer, you use an indexer. If you want to use your own node, you use your own node. It allows to do P&L accounting for taxes, and it has a history of all events across all chains and across all tracked addresses. So, yeah, it's actually very hard to find people to work on stuff. So if you liked what I'm talking about, and if the ethos part, especially the ethos part, because finding devs is easy, but keeping them because they are aligned with the vision is what's hard. So if you like what you heard, like apply to work with us, or it's open source. Just contribute, and then working with us is the normal continuation. Also, you can use the app. If you like it, you can buy the premium subscription. That is how we found ourselves, and talk about it. We survive through word of mouth. So we thrive by people talking about Rotki to others, and then we get more people like that. That's all, I guess. Right? Yeah. Thank you very much, guys.